Stugotz here for DraftKings. Football season is right around the corner. I cannot wait, and I cannot wait to play daily fantasy football on DraftKings.com. I love it, and there's no better way to get closer to the game you love than with DraftKings 1 Week Fantasy Football. To celebrate, DraftKings is hosting a $100,000 contest that is totally free to enter, and if you draft the perfect lineup, you can win $1 billion. Billion with a B. With DraftKings, there are many ways to play. Choose between public contests with big cash prizes or private contests where you can compete against a group of your friends. DraftKings also has beginner and casual contests where you'll play against people of similar skill level. The best part is you get to draft a new team each week without any commitment. So go to DraftKings.com right now. Use promo code HUDDLE to play in DraftKings free Week 1 contest with $100,000 in total prizes. And if you draft the perfect lineup, you can win $1 billion. That's promo code HUDDLE to play for your shot to win $1 billion Week 1. The contest is totally free to enter. Why wouldn't you try? DraftKings, the game inside the game. Eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com for details.
Buying tickets to sports and concerts can be way too complicated, but there is a better, simpler way to buy. SeatGeek is the smartest, easiest way to get tickets to live events. And right now, get a $20 rebate on your first purchase. Just download the SeatGeek app and enter promo code Batard today.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz podcast.
Jay Ajayi, the running back for the Dolphins, will be joining us in the noon Eastern hour. Mina Kimes, 11:30 Eastern. She just did a cover story, I think, ESPN, the magazine, about Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers went over to her house, our beloved Mina Kimes, her apartment. She was mortified when she learned that he was going to come over to her apartment. She started moving doggy toys and running out and buying snacks because Aaron Rodgers just went by her place. And so Aaron Rodgers is in an interesting place in his career, sort of midlife crisis as a quarterback, where he's the next 6 or 7 years, he wants to be seen a little bit differently. For Aaron Rodgers to take the time, who cares about magazine pieces at this point? Right. If you're Aaron Rodgers. Mm-hmm. For him to take the time to go to Mina's apartment because he wants a writer to profile him in a way that allows others to see him.
Sure.
I'm be interested in what it is that Aaron Rodgers is trying to accomplish over the next 6 or 7 years of his career. For him to go, what's the point of that? He told us last time he was on with us that he tapes his own interviews so he won't be taken out of context. He makes sure to tape his own interviews. Why do that if you're Aaron Rodgers? To me, it's interesting that he would do that.
It is interesting. I'm just obviously guessing here, but there's a lot of mystery around Aaron Rodgers, probably by design. There's some family stuff and rumors that have been out there and circulating for a while, and maybe he just wanted to clear some of that up, and maybe he just wants people to kind of get to know who Aaron Rodgers is and what he's all about, because people really don't.
Well, the second part is the part, because the piece does not cover the family stuff from his perspective. He doesn't want to talk about that.
Okay. Haven't read the piece.
That's all right. We'll talk to Mina about it, and then you won't read it.
Exactly.
But to me, what's happening with Aaron Rodgers, fame isn't a menu item, right? You don't get to choose how you get your fame. Aaron Rodgers, monster star in America's most popular sport, was dating a starlet, broke up with her. She's said to be heartbroken about their breakup. He's 33 years old, and what does he need? Think about what I'm saying here. What does he need from getting into his car and going to Mina's house and sitting for 2.5 hours? Why? In the modern age where people don't even do, Sports Illustrated, poor Sports Illustrated is dying, an employee at a time. Magazines are dying. Reading is down just about everywhere in that form, long form. What does Aaron Rodgers get from walking to a journalist's house or driving there and sitting down for several hours and inviting her into his life?
I mean, he gets to tell a story, if done with the right writer who's fair and balanced, which I assume Mina is. I don't know because I've never read anything that Mina works.
He did the research. He assumes it. Aaron Rodgers didn't even agree to this until he had done the research on who it is that she was.
But for a guy who doesn't really trust the media, trusts very few in the media, this is a chance for him and for Mina to write something that he views to be a very fair piece about his personality. And for whatever reason, I'm with you. He doesn't need to do it. Whatever reason he wants people to know that side of him.
That's the part I'm finding interesting. That my answer to the question of why do it, my answer is there is no reason. His answer is, nope, I got a reason. That's what I'm telling you. When I'm telling Aaron Rodgers wants to be seen by you. He would like to be. His greatness has carried him for a long time. But we don't really know Aaron Rodgers, and so he'd like to be seen. But speaking of distrusting the media, I was curious here. We have a hard time getting sound sometimes. I spent the morning going back and forth with ESPN executives because they're saying, hey, why do you want this sound in Houston of this reporter in a shelter talking to a woman who's mad at the reporter? And it was a conversation. We got it cleared, and it was fine. And we got it cleared in-house to use that sound. But then Guillermo asked CNN for the sound. It's gone viral, and I'm going to explain it better in a second, but we can't play it for you. I just found interesting what happened. So, even though this is not a visual medium, let me paint the picture for you. Have you seen what it is that I'm talking about, the sound that I was requesting?
I have not, no.
All right. There is a woman who is a victim of flooding. She is in a shelter with two of her kids, and a reporter comes up to her and starts talking to her. And because of the indignity of the moment, because she is panicked, the victim is, with her family, she starts telling the reporter how inappropriate it is in this, her moment of weakness, to stick a microphone in her face. Curses at the reporter, and the reporter stays there and keeps the microphone near the sound, and she continues to say, with her children next to her, my kids are wet and cold. My kids are wet and cold, and still you persist with the microphone in my face. And it's heartbreaking. It's a heartbreaking moment, and I saw, because we're in a time of we have to take sides on everything, I was heartbroken for both parties. But, man, people came after the reporter. Came after the reporter for doing her job, which is unpleasant in that circumstance.
Right, but under those circumstances, can't you just, hey, put your job, backseat it for just a minute there and respect the wishes of someone who's been through something really, really bad?
Yes, of course. Of course.
Right.
But also, her job is to go and talk to people at their heartbroken moment so that she could put it on television so that J.J. Watt can raise $4 million because it finds connection points in the audience with people who can feel.
I understand. It should be people who are willing to talk. I mean,
no, but she wasn't. Hold on, you haven't seen it.
I haven't seen it.
Before talking about it anymore,
okay.
Please just you watch it, because it's not her bombarding. They seem to the way they're standing there. It feels like, while I was watching it, that she had agreed to an interview. It's not like she's chasing her wet, cold children through a shelter. When the interview started, what I was watching is a woman I thought had agreed to be interviewed about what her condition was. But then she started talking about, this is the worst time in my life, and you're interviewing me. And of course that's invasive. And of course that's intimate in a way that's uncomfortable. And of course everyone is going to side with the victim because, she just lost everything. She's with her kids. That touches all the notes on why it is people are donating this way. Like, she's with her kids. She's scared. She's angry. She's lost everything. We could all see ourselves there. We could all see ourselves there. One day you're sitting in your house. The next day, water's just taking everything away.
Correct. So I'm watching the video here. I'll watch and listen to it during the break. But it starts off in the studio, and they threw it out to her in Houston, the reporter with the lady and her kids. So she clearly, and she's standing by. So clearly the lady knew that she was going to be interviewed and knew that what she was getting herself into.
So what we have here in this situation is I immediately felt also, not just for the reporter, but what I want to ask you guys about is this choosing sides stuff. Because what happens is the angry mob forms, and right now the angry mob is really hostile to the media at the highest levels of power in our country. The president got elected, at least in part, because of the hostility toward the media. So we've arrived here where we're watching this video, and because we're heartbroken on behalf of this woman, everybody attacked the reporter. And I ask you, isn't that the reporter's job? Now, maybe it's not okay for the job to be an excuse for how it is you make your money. But she wasn't rude about it. To me, the woman who was the victim lost her dignity. And her response to that was to take away this woman who was trying to do her job's dignity. And she did it successfully because I'm watching that and I just winced because I feel heartbroken for the victim. And then I'm like, oh, we're taking down the reporter too on this one because then the angry mob forms. We need people to be angry about, right? I'm still waiting for the comedian to make the flood joke. We'll get angry at that one. Like I'm waiting for it. It's going to come here at some point. Somebody's going to make the joke and then we're all going to rush to attack that person because, you know, the things that happen in these circumstances is a natural disaster. It's a misery caused by randomness. So you see that happen in Houston and you feel it at your core and it's a disaster and there's no explanation for it. And you want to blame somebody. So you want to put that blame somewhere. Where is it? Where do I put the blame for that? Where do I put the blame for it? And I'll be angry at this reporter. You know, that's one place. Give me the people who are going to be angry about this.
But we found the place, you're saying? Like, there needs to be anger, and yesterday we found the place, and that place is this reporter?
I'm saying it's one place
right.
Where it's going to end up. It'll end up with the comedian. We got to blame somebody, right? And there's no, like, these random acts that are horrific that happen.
But do we have to blame someone for a hurricane and flooding? Like, are you sure? Are you certain we need to blame someone for that? It seems ridiculous.
I'm saying we're angry. I'm saying you're angry and you feel helpless. And what do you do when you're angry and you feel helpless? This happens all the time in sports, doesn't it? Where your team loses, and you're angry and helpless. So you blame the ref, you blame the coach, you blame the guy who fumbled. No, we're not always doing that one.
Oh no, I always am. Usually for me, it's the Jets owner. I lash out at him, Woody Johnson.
Do I owe another $5? Did my phone just ping?
I don't know. I didn't hear it. It's tough for me doing this segment, having not seen this video at all and hearing any of the audio. I'm just trying to get through it so we can move on to the next one.
All right. Yeah, we were hurt by our lack of planning on that one. I probably should have told you I was going to talk about that. But Guillermo told me right before the segment started that CNN wouldn't let us use the sound. I don't know why. I guess we do know why, right?
Yes.
Because the reporter's in a no-win situation there, right? CNN looks horrific in that situation. So is that the move? Just don't share it with anybody? Don't let anyone play it so everyone's just playing it on the internet?
Yeah, I mean, are you going to share stuff that makes you look bad? Who does that?
No, but I'm saying it's spreading with or without their consent.
Right. But
to everyone's laptop except the guy I'm co-hosting a show with who hasn't seen it, and I've tried to talk to him about it for the last 7 minutes.
Yep.
Dan Le Batard.
Aaron Rodgers, can you give me an example of if we were scientifically testing your accuracy, something that you could do that's ridiculous, that people don't understand the accuracy of it?
Stugotz.
Did you see the 2 Hail Marys last year?
Wow, well played,
man.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
Mina Kime's going to join us at 11:30. Jay Ajayi just canceled, so he will not be on at noon. We will reconvene with him at a later date. If you're just joining us, we have some sound that we are going to play of an uncomfortable interview, Tom Brady, WEEI, just all the landmines that you have when you got Tom Brady, who doesn't ever want to say anything publicly, and the questions are about Floyd Mayweather and his support of Floyd Mayweather. So I have not heard this sound, but I look forward to hearing it because Mike was both wincing and laughing in the other room while listening to it because of how uncomfortable it was. I imagine Brady was moving around very well in the pocket. Like I could just picture him being so cautious, so cautious, being asked Floyd Mayweather questions. But we'll get to that in a second. But we were just talking.
Or certainly a couple pump fakes, too.
All right. We'll get to that sound in a second. But we were talking in the first segment, and now Stugotz has seen this video, and he winced at the video, and he felt bad for both parties and everybody involved with the video. But this guy writes in, and there's just such a poisonous hatred of the media that is larger than any I've ever seen. And keep in mind, Stugotz, the movies have portrayed for 50 years the reporter as the weasel.
Right.
Like, so media, love of media has been down for a long time, but I've never seen it be quite this bad. So I said about that woman, but also the journalist, she has a job to do. This guy writes in, but also she has a job to do, is what is wrong with the media. You protect each other like cops, insensitive, nosy, loud mouths. I guess she did her job well, because now that clip of a woman and children in the worst place in their lives is circulating. So I want to get into this for a second with you, Stugotz, deconstruct it a little bit.
All right.
What did you think, having watched the video just now? How did you feel?
She has a job to do. She did her job well. I felt bad for both sides, as you said in the first segment. The lady who was being interviewed clearly knew and agreed to the interview because, again, they started it in the studio, and then they threw it out to a place in Houston. So she did the interview, and she did a good job. But then the lady who was being interviewed, like 15 seconds in, she flipped it on the reporter.
The victim
She absolutely flipped it on the reporter.
What happened was she was being interviewed and giving you the sound that you would grow accustomed to. She answered a full question in a normal way.
Right. Then she just started cursing. And in the reporter's defense, and I don't care, I feel bad for both sides. I understand the reaction, and I'm telling you, the reporter did her job and did a professional job at that. I am telling you, she tried to walk away, and the reporter let her walk away. Like, that was it. She didn't chase her down.
Can you understand how maybe the victim comes to that conclusion as she's doing it? That it's different to agree to an interview and then when you're actually thrust into it.
Yes. Look, man.
Of course.
The woman being interviewed did nothing wrong, but she did turn the tables in the middle of the second question by saying, you're interviewing us at the worst time in our lives and my children are wet and cold. She's frustrated and she's angry. She's got to feel helpless. It's what I was talking about in the first segment about how people are viewing it. She herself, that's the boiling point on frustration. You realize that you've lost everything and this person comes and presses on a button. But as it relates to defending, as you say, the reporter and protecting my own, man, it's just, I could see it happening to any of us. It's not protecting. It's feeling like I'm understanding and I'm capable of empathy. I felt in that situation, how terrible would you feel if you were there doing your job, a job that is meant to convey the human pain to the viewer so that they will at least care and help and make donations and the urgency of the situation. Man, it took us a couple of days to realize exactly what was happening in New Orleans.
Right.
During Katrina. It took us a minute, and it's because the media brought you the images. You needed them.
Yes.
So to feel, to donate. And what I'm telling you in this case is I also felt for the reporter because it's no win there. That's when the job is the worst. The job is the worst because you're there, you're asking the questions.
Doesn't it go without saying that you feel bad for the victims, for the people of Houston? Doesn't that go without saying? Like, don't we all agree with that? You can't look at this and say, hey, the reporter was just doing her job, and then the victim just flipped the entire script on her 15 seconds in.
I don't think we can all agree on that because I think that people who were involved in Katrina would tell you that, no, not everyone felt bad for us to the point where Kanye West is going on television and saying George Bush, the president of the country, doesn't care about black people.
The media, and even though that interview didn't work out well for the interviewer, they're humanizing these victims. You can be detached geographically, emotionally, and then when you see what people are going through, anyone can relate to a family just stranded away from their home.
To me, that what ended up happening there in all of its discomforts, and we take sides on it, but to me, that is the reporter doing her job well. All of it, because all of it from start to finish, that is news doing its job well, going into the uncomfortable space, making ourselves look bad in the process if we must. And to bring you guys connection points. That's the job. That's what I say when I say the responsibility of the job. I'm not talking about, she's got to get a paycheck and she's got to go there and be invasive and nosy and loudmouth.
Right.
I'm saying she's there to tell the stories of others in ways that are made to make the viewer feel.
But Dan, I guess there is another side to this where people feel like it's self-serving, that it's good for ratings, that video went viral, that, and that's the purpose and that's the point of the media, and that CNN knows that people are glued to this thing. They're glued to the story and they're watching it. So there's just people. It's never going to change, Dan, that simply do not trust the media and their motives.
Well, it's worse than it's ever been.
To be the man, you got to beat the man. Woo!
And it's been bad for plenty of time. Like, I'm not naive about this. I'm not romantic longing for a time where I thought the media was beloved. It's been bad for a long time. It's never been this bad. I've never seen anything like this.
Dan Batard. Stugotz.
When you have the hammer, you gotta use it.
This is the Dan Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. Guests on the Dan Le Batard Show appear via the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. Get instant gold status at Shell. Join the Fuel Rewards program now at fuelrewards.com/gold. Here's your SportsCenter update. Rockets owner Leslie Alexander will now donate $10 million to the Hurricane Harvey Relief Fund started by Houston Mayor Sylvester Turner, an increase from the $4 million he pledged Monday, according to multiple reports. Houston Texans defensive lineman J.J. Watt's pledge drive for the people of Houston has reached over $5 million. Seriously, that's a tremendous job. It really is.
That's been unbelievable to see. It really has. His original goal was $200,000.
I know. He's up to 5, and now he's increased his pledge goal to $6 million, which I'm sure he'll get to today probably.
It's killing you, isn't it? A little bit. Like it puts you in the weird position of because you don't like J.J. Watt. He's doing something. I was peppering Stugotz with text last night. You're going to take the L on this one, Stugotz. He's going to bury you because it puts Stugotz in the position where he has to root against J.J. Watt raising money for people who have lost everything. No, I know. I'm saying once you're put in that position, that's an L. You are going to You are going to take the L.
Yes, that's a no-win situation for you. I'm just waiting for Mike to give us whatever signal he's going to give us when we can start talking freely again.
When you can start. Yes. It's not a me problem. The J.J. Watt experience.
Do not lump us in with you.
Do not put me in your group.
I just said great job. How can you criticize what J.J. Watt is doing?
Right. We're not criticizing it.
All right.
Great work by J.J. Watt.
We'll see you in a couple of weeks. And finally, after many animal experts weighed in to say that Mufasa, did I say that right? And Scar couldn't have been brothers because typically only one male is in a pride. Lion King directors Rob Minkoff and Don Hahn were compelled to reveal that they were indeed brothers, explaining, while making the movie, we talked about how it was very likely both would not have the same mother and father. The way lions operate in the wild, when the male lion gets old, another rogue lion comes and kills the head of the pride. What that does is it causes the females to go into heat, and then the new younger lion kills all the babies that aren't his. But in the rare case two males are in the same pride, it makes for an interesting dynamic because they are not equals, which is why Scar has a line in the film where he says, "I'm from the shallow end of the gene pool." Shorten these a little bit. Draft the perfect lineup in the free $100,000 one-week fantasy football contest at DraftKings, and you could win $1 billion. Use promo code HUDDLE to play free, only at DraftKings.com. Eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com for details. For all the latest headlines and information, tune in to SportsCenter on ESPN Radio all throughout the day.
Jay Ajayi was going to be on with us at noon, but he is canceled. So in its place, at noon Eastern, we will announce the winners of our Oscars, the Sueys.
Yes.
Noon Eastern, all the winners will be announced. Mike Ryan, let me explain to the audience the tension that we have going on here. If you're not familiar with the show and if you're not familiar with the work of Stugotz. Stugotz, I dare say, there has not been a more vocal critic anywhere in the country of J.J. Watt than our mighty Stugotz. It's mortifying to us. He pounds him, and it's been for years now.
Thank you.
I mean, it's not a compliment.
It felt like one.
Okay, but regardless, so these last couple of days have obviously been very difficult for Houston, and it's been horrible to watch it on television. And Stugotz has been stuck here because J.J. Watt is throwing in his face some real substantive do-gooding. Like, this is heroic in a way that very few athletes ever get to be, where you are raising this kind of money in an instant because you care about your city. It's really nice to watch. It's it's a silver lining on a horrific story. So nice to watch isn't what I should be saying there. But it's a nice story growing from the sewage.
It's nice to see a guy with the kind of platforms that he can get whenever he wants them doing the right thing. A guy of that magnitude doing the right thing by the city that he plays in and lives in.
But what I want to do, though, because we're managing this tension between Mike Ryan has been afraid for 3 days that you're going to say the wrong thing. I don't think I've seen Mike quite this scared as corporate suit in a really long time, where he's just scared. Cody begins his Back in My Day yesterday with water, and Mike gets totally skittish because he doesn't trust Cody, and he knows what your hatred for J.J. Watt is. Yeah. So Mike, hear me out on this, and feel free to reject it. I am going to your lap with this, because I know you're scared of all of this, but I trust your scared judgment to err on the right side here. What happened, Mike? Why are you shaking your head now?
I have a feeling you're going to go with an idea that was spitballed yesterday, and I
spitballed where?
In a group text. Are you going to just go ahead?
Was I on that group text?
I don't know. You never know with you because you're either on your iPad.
All right, well, what's the idea? Let me hear the idea.
No. I'm not going to go to it because then I'm just going to say I know what's going to happen. I'm going to be wrong, and then I'm just going to make Stugotz seem like more of a jerk. So
okay, what was your idea on the?
No, don't do this. Don't do this.
Okay, well, wait a minute.
What did I do here, man?
All right, look. What do you think about raising? We should try to raise money for Houston, right?
Okay, so it is the same idea. All right, continue.
Through J.J. Watt.
Oh, yeah. Oh, no. I'm fine with it. Oh, go ahead.
You didn't know that this was a bad idea when you texted it?
I thought it was a good idea when I texted it.
Now I want to know.
Don't go with the JJ Gott idea. Do not.
What is the idea? I wasn't on that text string. What is the idea? I'm talking about.
Stu wanted to start his own campaign to outraise.
Not to outraise. This is not a competition. I just wanted to do the right thing. I thought it'd be a funny campaign if I started doing a bunch of videos as JJ Gott.
Stop thinking funny. Stop thinking funny.
JJ Gott.
Already too far.
No, okay. I didn't see any of this.
It's to raise money, man.
This is not what I'm talking about. I didn't see any of this, and if I'd known that this was coming on the air, I would have vetoed it beforehand. I don't know.
Stop it.
My idea is not this idea. My idea.
You could have just said your idea instead of fishing for everybody else's idea. This is what I was trying to avoid. And this is your fault.
And you were on this group text. It was just me, you, and Mike. You started it.
I didn't.
Not with that, but with something else.
I didn't see what you guys were talking about. Anyway, my idea was in keeping with the spirit of Stugotz. Stugotz has been making J.J. Watt jokes for 2-3 years about how he's always 8-8. Are we allowed to set up a website where we just ask our listeners to donate 88 cents? Or $8.88 or $88.88. Is there a way to navigate where we are also doing good, but not being disingenuous about how Stugotz really feels about J.J. Watt, while also getting behind J.J. Watt's cause in a way that would actually, our listeners come strong, man, when we ask them to.
I like this idea. It could be as high as you want, right?
Before you
I'm
start
not asking
liking,
you. Hold on a second. I can't ask you.
But I'm J.J. Gott.
I'm asking Mike because Mike's scared judgment is what I trust on this, on what I'm saying. To me, what I'm saying feels lighthearted and honest enough that we'd actually be able to stay within the show's creativities and do something nice.
Here's what I'll say. If you'd like to help the victims of Hurricane Harvey, please go to redcross.org. And right there, go to redcross.org. I'm sure there's an option to put in $8.88. If you'd like to help.
I don't see how, when you're raising money for victims of a flood and a hurricane, I don't see how there is a bad idea. Honestly, as long as you're raising money.
I'll tell you,
I think your idea is
your idea is horrific, and this is why my idea is no good.
All right.
And it's ultimately what your general objection to all things J.J. Watt is. We could be doing something really nice, and we're sort of making a natural disaster about ourselves. Like, it could be both of those things. I don't know if the ends justify the means.
They don't. So if you'd like to help
it depends on how much money's raised, though,
right? If you'd like to help the victims.
It depends on how much money's raised. You can't answer that question unless you know.
This is a weird rationalization. All of this, I wish we could travel back in time and walk all of this back.
Yeah.
If you'd like to help the victims, redcross.org.
Why? Who was in your ear while I was talking?
Who was in it? They're very. Come on, man.
What?
Come on.
We're just spitballing ideas to try to help raise money. That's all.
That's all. Yeah. That's all. It just seems like that's what Dan articulated there is on the money. I don't want to make this about us.
All right. I just don't know how much money we could actually raise if we were doing it.
Awkward transition. Time for some ads.
People could have gone $888.88, right? There was no limit to how high you go. You just wanted all leads, right?
8 million. Yeah, 8 million. I didn't even see your guys' idea, though. I swear, I don't even know what you guys are talking about. I'm hearing about that for the first time right now.
You need to get your whole iPhone, iPad set up, streamlined.
You started it by sending us a link to a story.
Don Le Batard.
Chris Cody is the man with the most refined taste in the shipping container. Your thoughts on this fight?
Stugotz.
I've always liked Conor.
Oh,
my God.
Flame out. Oh, man, I went to you. I tried to tee you up, Cody.
This is the Don Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
It is hard for me to explain to you what my daily experience is around here. But I'm just going to give you a glimpse. And I think, Mike, that we need to figure out in whatever our future holds for us at ESPN, whatever the next projects look like, if there are more projects, I feel like we need to figure out a way to air the show that's happening during commercials that's better than the show that we're doing that's being paid by Disney. Now, there were a number of different things that were going on. You know, Guillermo was shaking some papers at me, because the Brewers and the Rockies run differential over the last 3 months isn't as good as the Marlins, and so he was just menacingly shaking some papers at me. And while this is happening, Stugotz is over here, and he's got this idea for Conor McGregor. Just really briefly, just give them, just please keep it to 15 seconds instead of the 4 minutes that I got of what your idea is for Conor McGregor.
Well, Billy sent me a story last night where Michael Phelps has challenged Conor McGregor to a swimming race, and so we think that Conor McGregor should spend the remainder of his career, his life, just doing odd challenges on pay-per-view. Swim against Michael Phelps, run the 100-yard dash against Usain Bolt. I'd buy all of them.
So he's always losing. He's always losing, but you're always like, a little better than I thought he would be. Look, he lost by half a mile to Usain Bolt in a race that wasn't half a mile, but did better than I thought he would. Like, just everything that you're watching. So there's that going on. And in the middle of it, Mike Ryan's trying to insert his opinion on how spectacularly J-Lo and A-Rod are going to fall apart. Like, go ahead. Just tell
Oh, I'm so rooting for this.
I know, but I'm saying this is all, it's a bombardment of things happening around here. That is a show that's better than the show we're doing.
Can you imagine Conor in the dunk contest?
Did better than I thought he would.
A floor routine against Simone Biles. He's entering the Kentucky Derby.
Yeah, we left that one out. Go on, Mike.
Everybody else has like amateur horses, but he has the best horse.
And he'd be doing the way that he trained for everything would be the same way in a boxing ring, moving his arms around like an octopus.
Put it on the poll. If you give Conor McGregor the best horse in a couple months to train, will he win the Kentucky Derby?
Do you want to see him against other jockeys?
Well, I'd like to know, would people pay $99.99 to watch? It would take 10 seconds.
Will you back off
to
for a
watch
second?
McGregor versus
I want to
Bolt.
get to Mike Ryan. Mike Ryan was just saying during the break, I'm here for it. I'm here for it. J-Lo was on A-Rod's.
People don't fall in love like this, man.
J-Lo was on A-Rod's lap. And Mike's just spinning. A-Rod's such a square.
He's so square, man.
And then Mike's like, flame out. I'm here for it. Flame out. Like, what? You think it's going to be a big public mess?
And then I'm hoping for the comeback. Yeah. Either way. I mean, we know it's going to be a celebrity. Where does he go from here? I want to see all of this. It's done so much for him. He's a different person now on social media. How many birthday cakes does J-Lo need?
I think that Guillermo put it on the poll in all capital letters. How many birthday cakes does J-Lo need? Because I think it's more than one. I think J-Lo needs.
But is it more than 7?
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, she's a diva, right? Put that on the poll as well. Is J-Lo still a diva? How does this one work? If you're a diva once, are you always a diva?
Once a diva,
yeah,
always
I think
a diva.
So, yeah.
All of it.
Yeah.
Does J-Lo get to be?
But she seems cool.
So she's not a
give-
diva.
She doesn't give off, but she's a diva in terms of power.
No, but I've heard the stories, like all over the Miami restaurant scene.
All right, well, then it's looking good for the Flame Out, and I'm here for it.
I mean, McGregor versus Federer.
Okay, keep your eyes closed.
Okay.
I want to show you my first ever painting.
All right.
Okay. Open your eyes.
Oh, that's a lot of colors and shapes.
So be honest. What do you think?
Well, I like how if you switch to Geico, you could save hundreds of dollars on car insurance.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Here, why don't I hold your paintbrush while you call them?
Geico, because saving 15% or more on car insurance is always a great answer.
Stugotz here for DraftKings. Football season is right around the corner. I cannot wait, and I cannot wait to play daily fantasy football on DraftKings.com. I love it, and there's no better way to get closer to the game you love than with DraftKings 1 Week Fantasy Football. To celebrate, DraftKings is hosting a $100,000 contest that is totally free to enter, and if you draft the perfect lineup, you can win $1 billion. Billion with a B. With DraftKings, there are many ways to play. Choose between public contests with big cash prizes or private contests where you can compete against a group of your friends. DraftKings also has beginner and casual contests where you'll play against people of similar skill level. The best part is you get to draft a new team each week without any commitment. So go to DraftKings.com right now. Use promo code HUDDLE to play in DraftKings free Week 1 contest with $100,000 in total prizes. And if you draft the perfect lineup, you can win $1 billion. That's promo code HUDDLE to play for your shot to win $1 billion Week 1. The contest is totally free to enter. Why wouldn't you try? DraftKings, the game inside the game. Eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com for details.
Buying tickets to sports and concerts can be way too complicated, but there is a better, simpler way to buy. SeatGeek is the smartest, easiest way to get tickets to live events. And right now, get a $20 rebate on your first purchase. Just download the SeatGeek app and enter promo code Batard today.
Don Le Batard.
It really is amazing that you're a professional broadcaster.
Yep.
The most famous running back in the draft, this is not his name.
I feel like Zeke Elliott. I bailed quickly on that one.
Stugotz.
Hear what I did to poor Dory? Tune in every Saturday from 8 until noon Eastern for Dory and Mel with Dory Nokoa and Mel.
Oh, my God.
Nokia?
Oh, my God.
The camera.
This is the Don Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance, comparing rates to help you save. Now, that's Progressive. Call or click today and find out how much Progressive could save you. Mina Kimes going to join us in a half hour, 11:30 Eastern, on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. Here's your SportsCenter update. Zeke Elliott's appeal of his 6-game suspension over a domestic violence incident will go a third day, sources tell ESPN's Adam Schefter. All-star guard Isaiah Thomas told ESPN that he has made significant progress with his injured hip toward a return in the 2017. That was toward.
Wow, you got it wrong all 4 times.
A return in the 2017-2018 season. In the meantime, Cleveland is no longer seeking one of the Celtics' top young players, but they are still determined to land one of Boston's first-round picks as compensation, and the conversation has included second-round considerations, too, league sources said. Danny Ainge, I'm telling you, just keep saying no. Whatever you ask for, keep saying no. COB. At 3 o'clock, just pull Jay Crowder out of the deal. At 4 o'clock, take away Isaiah Thomas. And at 5 o'clock, you take away the pick and you move forward. And finally, a gigantic prehistoric crocodile has been named after late Motorhead frontman Lemmy. Lemmy Suchus, Latin for Lemmy's crocodile, was about 19 feet long and had a skull more than a meter long. Lemmy, a chain smoker who boasted of drinking a bottle of Jack Daniels a day and sleeping with more than 1,000 women, died in December of 2015. I am rattled. At the age of 70, just a few short months after becoming a friend of the show. You know what happened there, man? I took my foot off the gas after I got Lemmy Suchus, and then I got crocodile right, and then I got skull right. And I was so proud of myself that I took my foot off the gas, and I stopped thinking. I stopped concentrating.
That is a 4th grade reading level.
I'm dead. Fourth grade?
I mean, I think
that's too much credit.
I think a fourth grader would be scared of skull and crocodile.
Yeah. Lemmy Suchus, though.
Yeah, you got that right.
Here's the select quote difference. I love select quote.
What was your excuse when you reached toward?
All right, we're going to play that back.
There are certain words.
You guys both.
I can't explain
you guys got to cut up for me if you don't mind. Guillermo, stop waving those papers at me for a second that would have the run differentials of the Brewers and the Rockies on it, and find for me the two spots in this sports flash where Stugotz, the toward, where that was amazing. That was amazing to listen to. And then the hiccuping, short-circuiting at the end where he just there was a glitch in the system.
We have to wait 15 minutes for the second one because we had to stop rolling to get the first one. We didn't anticipate a second one.
Okay, very good.
Towards, right?
Yeah, but you messed it up 4 times. It is. I think we should get Guinness World Records. We need to get the
most
book.
consecutive time that word.
I think the book has world in it twice.
Guinness Book of World Records. We need to get them down here and see if anyone has botched toward more magnificently than you did, as efficiently as you did.
Here's the select quote difference. Most companies give you one option, one policy, one rate, but select quote shops and could get you up to 15 options from highly rated life insurers. For a free personalized quote, call 1-800-533-4499 or go to selectquote.com. For all the latest headlines and information, tune in the Sports Center on ESPN Radio all throughout the day.
In retrospect, were you trying to say towards with an S, or were you trying to say it without an S?
Without the S.
Okay.
Yeah. All-star guard Isaiah Thomas told ESPN that he has made significant progress with his injured hip toward a return in the 2017. That was toward.
Wow, you got it wrong all 4 times.
Toward. What was the matter with
and as a bonus, when you were explaining it to us, you threw an S in there.
Yeah.
So 5 times. Ladies and gentlemen, can we get a notary public in here?
Thank you. Toward. Do we have the hiccup?
No, we'll get that in 15 minutes.
Okay,
we will have the hiccup at the end. Thank you, Stugotz.
Okay.
For not listening to anything.
Just listen, it's hard when you're in the middle of all that.
And it's a bonus, though. On top of having a 4th grade reading level, we get the added bonus of you're also not very good at listening.
Right. But I'm just saying it's hard to listen when you feel like every single person in both of these rooms, and even though they can't see me, just listening on the radio, I feel like every set of eyes who was listening to the show is on me, and they're making fun of me, and they're laughing at me. And they're not laughing with me, they're laughing at me, and that's tough. It's tough to listen when you're feeling like that.
I wish at some point in that you had realized that Mike was ready to pounce on that and was going to give it to you every single sentence you spoke. It would have been so much funnier. If you'd allowed him that space. To make you maximum funny. Even though he's only working with. Your 4th grade reading level.
I do enough for you.
And you not listening. Like he was waiting. He was waiting and you're just yelling all over the place.
I mean, you don't know. I mean, honestly, you don't know what it feels like to be a human pinata and to not be able to read. You don't know what it feels like. Walk in my shoes for a minute. Seriously. Because it doesn't feel good when everyone's not laughing with you. They're laughing at you. It doesn't feel good. So there's certain words I struggle with. I'm not smart, but my strength is I show up here, and that's what I do every day, man. I'm on time, and I let you make fun of me.
Guillermo, never mind. You didn't listen to anything I was saying about the timing.
I don't care anymore.
You had to vent your feelings out there.
Yeah, man. Will
you get the joke and stop getting hurt by this?
It's therapeutic. I don't care about your jokes anymore. I am the joke. I need to vent to someone. I'm trying to talk to you as my friend and express to you how I'm feeling.
Guillermo, put it on the poll, please. Are we laughing at Stugotz or with him? Put it on the poll. Dude. What do you mean that's not fair, Roy? What's not fair about it?
We already know the answer. We're laughing at Stugotz.
Exactly.
100%.
Thank you.
Why can't both be an option?
No, it can't be an option.
Sometimes it can be both.
You know what, Roy? I appreciate that because he cut straight to it. The truth. And you guys are laughing at me. I know you're all laughing at me, and it hurts. Toward. Jeez. Toward. I come every day with a great attitude. Toward.
Now you're getting it. Now you're getting.
I didn't even try it there. I didn't even mean to get it. I'm not even trying to get your dumb joke. Toward.
Just give him the musical space.
Listen, I come here with a great attitude every single day. Toward. I try to make people smile. I try to make people laugh. I try to do the right thing by people. Toward. And you guys are not laughing with me. I'm your friend. I consider all of you to be my friends. Whether you consider me to be friends is yet to be determined. Toward, if you consider me to be a friend. But you guys are laughing at your friend, and I'm telling you that it hurts. Toward. You're not laughing with your friend. Toward. You're laughing at your friend. Toward. And I'm telling you, I have given you guys just a ton of material over 13 years of doing the show. Toward. And I would appreciate every now and then where you guys show some support for me instead of laughing at me. Toward. That's all I'm saying. Toward. I'm done now. Toward. Wow. I mean, I read these updates. They're way too long. Way too long. I'll just tell you that right now. COB. Shorten up these updates or I'm done reading them. Okay?
He's lashing out.
These things are books.
Now he's lashing out in every direction. And look, it feels like he's in a sensitive place, so I'm not going to fine him $2.
Go
but
ahead.
It sounds like he's blaming the length of the updates on him reading them poorly. And normally that would be a $2 fine.
Turn. Laughing with me there? Because I'm not laughing.
What is
the only people laughing here are you. Turn. $2.
Did you get the short circuiting at the end of the segment, or we still have to wait for that 15 minutes? Because this has felt like 15 minutes.
15 minutes. Jeez. God. Terrible listener.
You know what's amazing about this entire segment is it's funny, but he's mad. Know that there is some fury underneath the laughter. We can't stop laughing with him long enough to slow him down.
With me.
But there is some fury there.
Yeah, I'm mad.
I could tell.
These updates.
So close of business today. Stugotz wants the updates shortened.
We'll start pulling things away starting at 3 o'clock. One piece at a time.
What are you going to pull?
No idea.
What are you going to pull? How's that going? That's right. You pull away all these radio hits I'm doing every week where I have to go and call the small radio station somewhere. Pull it.
Well, no, I got to do that for ESPN. That's a corporation thing. That's not a show thing, even though the people up there are also laughing at me and not with me, okay? At 3 o'clock, I pull away the Sports Whisperer. We're done with that. At 4 o'clock.
Whoa, you are starting the bidding high. Good God. At 4 o'clock, what are you pulling back?
Well, 5 o'clock's got to be the grand finale. That would be Weekend Observations, I think. At 4 o'clock, I pull away Pump the Brakes. We're done with it. Actually, that's sponsored. I'm not pulling that away.
Please, God, no.
I get paid for that one. We're not taking that one away.
Please don't take that one away. No. That's totally organic and feels like we're just doing it within the show.
It just dawned on me. I don't have 3 things to pull away. No value.
I had coffee with my colleague half an hour ago.
There really are. There are only 2.
The Wendy's Wooden Watch is done. 4 o'clock. I'll tell you that right now. It's done.
Your leverage. You really overestimated your leverage there.
The next generation Home Depot, 4:30 done.
You are Nerlens Noel, my friend. You really misread the entire landscape there. Close the business. I'm going to take away 3 things, even though I only have 2 to take away.
It was 30 for 30s. Voicing note.
Don Le Batard.
Let's go.
I'm tired of this.
All
the
right.
3 of them bashing Pat Riley. I mean, LeBron James hadn't won a single thing until Pat Riley was running the organization that he played for.
Stugotz.
And then Pat Riley was running the organization that he played for. And what happened? 4 straight final appearances, 2 NBA championships, should have been a 3rd NBA championship, but LeBron was terrified to post up J.J. Barea in that first season. Hey, what did he do to Wade?
Do you not know how a Jack-in-the-Box works?
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
That was amazing to watch last segment because Stugotz, it would appear after 13 years doing this, still doesn't understand how to talk in a musically comedic way, even though that's what the Weekend Observations are. Like,
really?
Yes, the Jack in the Box, or that thing right there where Mike Ryan is asking you to dance with him.
Mm-hmm.
And you just dance all over his feet. I think we should change the poll to, are we laughing at Stugotz, are we laughing with him, or are we laughing toward him? Guy writes in here, interested in your thoughts about the Browns' move today. Think they are trying to follow the Patriots' blueprint of finding value. Yeah, I mean, that...
We're not following their blueprint. We fired Belichick, man.
They agreed to take Brock Osweiler.
Okay.
I mean, imagine a world in which Bill Belichick would take Brock Osweiler at that price.
Look, I'm not saying the Browns aren't going to succeed. History tells us they're not. But if they succeed, they're clearly making their own blueprint here.
Yeah. Is Brock making more than Brady this year?
That's a good question.
I think he actually is.
Is that true?
He might be.
He's got making $16 million this year, right?
Yes, and it might be more than Brady because of signing bonuses and all that stuff. It probably counts more against the cap.
Unless this is one of the years that they decided to give Brady a ton, and then next year they'll walk it back.
The success of the Patriots is something. Yes, Mike.
Tom Brady is making his base salary this year is $1 million. He's got a $13 million signing bonus, but he's got a cap hit of $14 million. So the cap hit is similar. Next year, it goes up to $14 million in base salary. I don't even know how is this legal?
What is the base?
Last year, his base salary was under $800,000. What is going on?
Well, in keeping with their ability to find value, Stugotz, and the Patriots' blueprint of not overpaying anyone.
Right.
The Stafford situation is the situation that most teams aren't strong enough in management and in conviction to let the popular local player who's got roots go.
Sure.
The Patriots are really cold about that with their guys. Will Fork, they'll let him go. Richard Seymour, they'll let him go. And I'm not sure that other teams have, and even that sport that's disposable and they'll cut anyone, the guy who's got popular roots on helping you win.
Right.
Most teams feel pressured to keep that guy, even if he's not a value anymore. And the Patriots don't.
Yeah, but they have two constants, and I think that helps them allow to cut guys. They have Brady and Belichick.
I know, but
and that allows them to get rid of guys, and it's so much focus from the fans on those two guys.
Here's the thing, though. Because everyone spends so much time crediting Brady and Belichick,
right.
I think it masks this other cold genius that they have that is exploiting a market inefficiency. Other teams do not have the grapefruit to let go of the guy who has helped them win, who's popular in town. And the Detroit Lions just paid the guy who hasn't helped them win, who is popular in town.
I understand exactly what you're saying. I'm just saying it's easier to have the grapefruits to do that when you have Belichick and Brady, because that's where all the focus and attention. As long as we have these two, we're fine.
But if you apply what we were talking about yesterday with the Moneyball stuff, where I'm trying to figure out as I watch the best team of my lifetime in the most popular sport in America, how do they do it? And I don't have a good answer. Two places they have exploited market inefficiencies that I would like to understand. How did you do that? One, with Tom Brady. Could Belichick at this point in his life, given that he did it with a 6th-round pick, could he have done it with anybody? Could he have done it with Stafford? Could he have done it with Romo? Could he have done it with Garoppolo? I'd like to know the roots of, did Belichick make that? Or is Brady the one who became that? And obviously it's both of those things, but I'd love to read something that explains to me that Belichick could have done that or couldn't have done that with Romo or Stafford or Roethlisberger or 15 guys.
Sure.
And because if he does it with Garoppolo, like you saw how Garoppolo looked.
Yep, he looked very good. He looked very good. I mean, he had the 11-5 season with Matt Castle.
And you saw what Castle looked like when he wasn't
outside of Belichick
there.
Yes.
So that's one market inefficiency. But the other one I'd like to understand, how the hell in sports where owners can't control their spending habits and where a salary cap is in place to force them to control their spending habits, how the hell are the Patriots one of the few teams in sports who aren't overpaying anybody? Like, how are they the only ones doing that? How can that possibly be the case? I'd like to understand better that market inefficiency. How do the rest of you dopes not know how to do what they do, which is, no, you don't pay Stafford. No, let him go. You find somebody else. Somebody else will be Ninkovich. Somebody else will be Vrabel. Somebody else will be Gronk.
Right. I don't know if they think anyone else will be Stafford, though. I don't know. Like, if Belichick had Stafford, don't you? Well, it'd be interesting to see what Stafford looks like if he played.
He doesn't pay Brady that way, and furthermore, not only does
he pays Brady that way, they just do the deals in a way that's unique and different.
Brady,
it's still a $14 million cap hit.
Brady is value, and
which is cheaper than it should be.
No, but and beyond that, though, Brady is value, and also as an added bonus. Hey, Brady, you're not only going to be underpaid, you're not only going to play on the cheap, but you love Wes Welker, and we don't care that you love him. Wes Welker's gone. We don't need him anymore. Not only that. Like, it's not only that he's playing at value, it's also, it's not LeBron, hey, get me a playmaker. It's shut up, Tom. Do your job. We'll handle it.
Dan Le Batard.
Game day bucket, go boom!
Stugotz.
I do like that idea, Greedy. I like the idea. I have a friend named Goldie. I called you Goldie.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. Mina Kimes going to join us in just a second here on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. Here's your SportsCenter update. Zeke Elliott's appeal of his 6-game suspension over a domestic violence incident will go a third day, sources tell ESPN's Adam Schefter. Adam Schefter also reporting that the Steelers are the front-runners right now to acquire Joe Hayden. Hayden was released by the Browns earlier today. And finally, according to New York Magazine, via local Russian news reports, the Russian subdivision of Burger King has launched its own cryptocurrency, aptly called Whopper Coin. The Whopper Coin launched in tandem with a new loyalty program. For each Whopper Burger customer's purchase, they'll receive one Whopper Coin in a special cryptocurrency wallet, while the coin's wider...
I'm sorry, Stugotz.
Just go. For all the latest headlines and information, tune in to SportsCenter on ESPN Radio all throughout the day. I'm not reading these anymore if they're a book. And at 3 o'clock, I'm pulling them away. I'm pulling stuff away. Sports Whisperer, gone. Weekend Observations, gone. Next Generation Home Depot, gone. All of it, gone. No, I'm done with it. These things are books. Okay, they're too long. I've been asking you guys to shorten them for a while now.
That's a short one.
And in that last segment we did, I actually was never upset. I was laughing all the way through it. Now I'm upset.
I'm sorry.
Because now you guys, you're purposely putting stuff in here to make me trip up on
Whopper Coin?
You're not laughing with me. You're laughing at me. I don't like it. I feel very lonely here. There's already $5 in there.
$2. You tripped up on the word wider.
I don't care.
Because it's too long. You're blaming the read for being too long.
While the coin's wider use is unclear, some reports suggest that the Whopper coin will be accepted as payment at Burger Kings across Russia. I mean, it's a nothing story, and who cares? You only have a Whopper coin.
They're not trying to trip you up.
Just give me some short stuff. Let's go.
Asking you to
Indians
do your job.
beat the Braves. We move on.
Oh, okay. All right, make them shorter. Noon, please. Make them shorter.
This is ridiculous. I'm serious.
Mina Kimes joins us. Mina Kimes joins us from ESPN, the magazine, and friend of the show. You know her if you listen to the show. She got the cover story on Aaron Rodgers, and it's getting a lot of applause. She's taking her victory lap. I don't think there's anything in our profession that feels as good as this. I'm not kidding you. Like radio, I love radio, and it's a lot of fun, but nothing feels as fulfilling as being able to take the victory lap when everyone is saluting you, writing something about someone that everyone else has written about, and no one's written about it as well as you have. So anyways, Mina's taking the victory lap now. How did the story go over? What has been the interesting reaction?
It's been interesting to see. So, part of the reason I think Aaron, and he talked to you guys about this, he doesn't do a lot of interviews. He's very concerned about his quotes getting turned into hot takes and, things that we can debate about. And there are a few things in there that I was pretty confident would go that route, but it's been interesting to see what gets picked up on and used and, aggregated. And obviously the Kaepernick comments are probably number one right now, but it's fun to watch it go through the news cycle, I guess.
So one of the Kaepernick comments was, he says, quote, "I think he should be on a roster right now. I think because of his protests, he's not." What are some of the other ones that have circulated, things that he said that people have been surprised by?
Well, I asked him about the actual protest or the actual issue Kaepernick was protesting, and he was pretty interested in talking about that and specifically addressed it, I think, acknowledging his lack of experience as a white guy, and talked a little about how his teammates have helped him better understand it. He pointed to Randall Cobb, who I interviewed. So that's one. I think he's very open about the fact that he's no longer really belongs to organized religion, which is a lot more unusual in football than maybe when I was writing it, I thought, or just something that he didn't, maybe living in a city, you don't think about it as much, but it's actually a pretty big deal.
So explain to us what it is that he said about religion for people who haven't seen the piece.
Yeah. Sorry. So he grew up in a pretty traditional, non-denominational Christian church and was very, if you go back and look at interviews with Aaron from, his first 27 years, he's very religious, very open about his Christianity. And then over the last 6 or 7 years has kind of been turning away from that. And, we talked a lot about why he sort of no longer identified with traditional Christianity, I suppose. And then I asked him if he identified with any religion. He said not really anymore, although he, believes in a higher power.
Do you know if that's at the roots of the problems with his family, or how much of that were you able to get into, and did you feel a little uncomfortable getting into it? That's something that occurred to me, that because I talked about his religion and then I talked about the fact that he grew up with it and his family is clearly very religious, it occurred to me that I was writing it and putting the piece together that was a possible interpretation. He did not say that. He still does not want to talk about that issue, which, I respected, but I asked him why he doesn't, and he is so private about so many things that I think there are just, as much as maybe he opens up about, his religion or his beliefs about even politics or race, there are just certain aspects of his personal life I don't think he'll ever feel comfortable talking about.
Mina, why do you think it was important for Aaron to do this?
I think it was pretty evident, without sounding cynical, and I don't think it's cynical, I think it's pretty normal. He's kind of been ground out over the last few years, couple years in particular. I mean, he hasn't done a bunch of interviews, in-depth interviews in years, but over the last 1-2 years, there have been a lot of stories about the family. Jermichael Finley and Greg Jennings have come out and been negative, usually those two guys. So I sensed or believe that he probably was a little bit tired of not speaking and having kind of those voices fill the void of sorts. And also, I pitched him on the story. I said, "Hey, I wanted to interview you. I want to talk about football," and I think he was interested in that opportunity.
So what happens? Like, what'd you do when he walked into your house? Did you give him the grand tour? Did you make him a sandwich? What happened there?
There's not much of a tour. It's really small. Well, I found out he was coming to my house literally the night before, so I spent the entire morning cleaning it, like vacuuming it, all my dog hair and stuff, and then I went out for a snack. I mean, no one tells you how to prepare for the most famous quarterback this side of New England coming over to your house. So I didn't know what the snacks to get him. I did a little research. I mean, I was just very stressful for a few hours trying to figure out how to prepare the environment, how to Aaron Rodgers proof my environment.
Mina Kimes with us, ESPN Radio. You should check her out on ESPN, the magazine's cover story, Aaron Rodgers. He doesn't allow a lot of people close, and for his reasons, he researched her, he chose her, and he decided to allow her a little bit close. Did you like him?
Yeah.
At times that you could step on a court.
Let me find out your scoring average.
There's plenty of times you could step on a court and there's somebody there that might be better than you. But when you're the individual in the throes of competition, I'm going to find a way to take this dude out. I'm going to find a way to beat him. That's what I'm asking of LeBron. I'm talking about, I want to see how you're going to, I want to see how you're going to.
Mina, you understand. I'm sorry to be so rude, but you certainly, you understand.
I understand all too well.
So you were saying?
By the way, I keep waiting to see how this story gets first takeified. I've been like, what are they going to debate because it's such a nuanced story.
You tried to make it first take proof? Mina, did you try to make your story first take proof?
I may have accomplished that. I don't know. We'll see. I guess the Kaepernick comment will probably be the fodder for that. But you asked me if I liked him. That was the last question, right? I'm sorry. Stephen A. It wipes the memory a little bit. I do. One of my regrets about this story, not really regret, is that he's really funny, and because the story was serious, I couldn't really show that. One of the things that happened was he came to my neighborhood, we got coffee, and he parked his Range Rover on a street near mine, and I was like, oh, okay, that's fine. He's very sure. Then when we walked out, he had gotten a ticket, so I got Aaron Rodgers a ticket, which was pretty shameful. And then later I texted him, and I was like, hey, I'm sorry, I owe you $86, and he just wrote back $93. Were you hard enough on him? I don't know what there is necessarily to criticize, but were you hard enough on him? I think the thing that comes up that is maybe worth examination or criticism is, it's not his distaste for the media, which is fine, although he certainly doesn't hide that. But the fact that he talks about it a fair amount, and I did point that out in the piece, and he brought up the 60-minute story, and I kind of laughed because I was like, you can't really talk about this, complain about it, and then say you don't ignore it. Like, there's a little bit of an inconsistency there, and he recognized that.
He strikes me as sensitive. Mike, do you think he's sensitive? Do you feel like Aaron Rodgers? And the 60 minutes piece is what I remember. It was a largely flattering piece in which it felt like his takeaway was that people are surprised that he's shorter than he is.
I do think he's a little sensitive.
Does he not think he's sensitive?
I think he knows that what he said several times was he has a really good memory, which I think is a way of saying he's very attuned to everything and is not able to slough it out, or historically has not been able to slough it off the way. I've written about athletes who I know won't read the piece. I came on the show a few years ago and did a story about Darrelle Revis, and I know for a fact he did not read my story about him. Rodgers reads the pieces about him, and it creates a different kind of reaction. He's a different kind of guy.
Anything odd about him that we should know? Bad breath? Anything? I mean, you were very close to him. Just
bad breath.
Yeah.
Bad breath?
Anything? Just
anything odd you'd like to serve up.
The guy spent a couple of hours in your home. Just anything?
There's so much stuff that didn't make it in. So many of he really loves Marshawn Lynch. I wish I could have written about that. He just really likes him. He actually said he was one of the 3 most talented football players he'd ever played with. So that was really interesting.
I like Stugotz's question, though. Was he smacking his lips? Did he do anything to bother you while he was in your home?
Like quirky traits or bad breath.
And I got to tell you, though, Mina, this is lovely. This part, not you. You're saying on bad breath. I'm not talking about you. It's lovely, the idea of Mina sort of self-conscious. You talk 2.5 hours to Aaron Rodgers. You might have to use your restroom. And now where are you on the cleanliness of the restroom?
Oh, my gosh. So I went out and bought hand soap right before he came, cleaned my bathroom, and he used it once, guys. And the whole time, I was kind of hoping he would use it because I'm like, I didn't want to buy this soap for nothing. Right. Then that weekend, I went to the ESPYs, and when he was on stage, he won some award. I was thinking, that guy just pissed in my bathroom.
You sure it was just the one?
Yeah, you don't know it's the number one. How
he was quick. He was quick.
Okay. It's just mortifying though. Like honestly. So has your last question? Has your bathroom ever been that clean in your entire life?
No.
Okay.
My whole house has never been that clean.
Okay, very good.
So clean.
All right. Thank you, Mina. Thank you.
Make me a bicycle, clown.
Go check out that story, okay? Because it's a good story, and she's a good writer.
Don Le Batard.
I'm going to eat my wings with blue cheese, and a lot of it, and I'm going to come in here with blue cheese on my face and a couple of napkins. And too bad. Stop complaining about it.
Stugotz.
No one told you can't eat wings. You decided that on your own. That's a you choice, not a me choice. It was a me choice, an us choice. We'd be eating wings every day. We'd both have blue. We'd be slathered in blue cheese, both you and I.
We'd be slathering it on each other?
Yes, that's my dream.
This is the Don Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
In 10 minutes, we are going to announce all the winners for the Sueys. The Sueys are our Oscars, and we are going to, all the categories, all 11, 12 categories, we're going to announce the winners in 10 minutes. I will leave this subject alone after this, but it is a source of genuine curiosity for me as I see the Patriots on the cover. Tom Brady's on the cover of Sports Illustrated, and they're just a bunch of tiny players. He looks like a giant, and a bunch of, Joe Thomas is sending out tweets yesterday. The Browns are making fun of Joe Thomas, saying congratulations on making the cover of Sports Illustrated because Joe Thomas is under Tom Brady's armpit and on his shoulder or something, falling on his face. The guy who just became the highest paid player in the sport yesterday. Matthew Stafford is like falling on his face on the shoulder of Tom Brady because Tom Brady's the giant. But I want to ask you guys this question as we talk about market inefficiencies and we talk about value finding. The Patriots, when is the last time that they had a guy? Because in baseball, no salary cap, no limit on what you pay for people. The Boston Red Sox have had Carl Crawford and David Price and Pablo Sandoval and all these guys that become bums because they're making so much money that the fan base gets mad at them when they don't produce.
Sure.
When's the last time you can think of that being the case for a Patriot? Now, it doesn't happen as much in football because the money's not guaranteed. And usually if you're giving a ton of money to somebody, they're going to be really good. It can happen at the top of a draft, or used to happen at the top of a draft with a Ryan Leaf.
Did it happen with Hainsworth?
Happened with Chad Ochocinco.
No, wait a minute. No, Ochocinco went to the Patriots, but they weren't paying him anything. They were paying him very little. Hainsworth was an overpaid bust in Washington. Hainsworth, when he went to the Patriots, they weren't paying him very much. The Patriots were taking flyers on those guys. When's the last time? This is what I want to ask you because I think it's a crazy thing. And I think it is the market inefficiency that the Patriots are exploiting. When's the last time you said to yourself, the Patriots are not getting their dollar's worth on that guy?
I will say it was Danny Amendola. He was slated to make $6 million this year.
Yeah. That is a good one.
And he was
Pretty
over.
Good one.
Yeah, and they redid his contract, and now he's making 1-point-something million.
But what I'm saying is I think that merits exploring because very rarely can you do that with a team where they're being so careful and smart with their dollars that they're only using their salary cap money, only using it on value. Like can you say that? Give me the other examples. Give me the other teams that you could say that about, where they just never have a guy that you think that they're wasting money on. What are you laughing about?
Someone says we get it. New England's good.
Daddy, where do babies come from?
Honey?
Mommy went to the store.
Oh, well, you see, there's a mommy and a daddy, right?
Right.
And see, when they call Geico, they could save a bunch of money on car insurance.
Oh, really? And that makes them happy?
Yes, that makes them very happy.
That's good.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad we could have this talk, Sunshine.
Geico, because saving 15% or more on car insurance is always a great answer.
Stugotz here for DraftKings. Football season is right around the corner. I cannot wait, and I cannot wait to play daily fantasy football on DraftKings.com. I love it, and there's no better way to get closer to the game you love than with DraftKings 1 Week Fantasy Football. To celebrate, DraftKings is hosting a $100,000 contest that is totally free to enter, and if you draft the perfect lineup, you can win $1 billion. Billion with a B. With DraftKings, there are many ways to play. Choose between public contests with big cash prizes or private contests where you can compete against a group of your friends. DraftKings also has beginner and casual contests where you'll play against people of similar skill level. The best part is you get to draft a new team each week without any commitment. So go to DraftKings.com right now. Use promo code HUDDLE to play in DraftKings free Week 1 contest with $100,000 in total prizes. And if you draft the perfect lineup, you can win $1 billion. That's promo code HUDDLE to play for your shot to win $1 billion Week 1. The contest is totally free to enter. Why wouldn't you try? DraftKings, the game inside the game. Eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com for details.
Football season's almost here, and DraftKings, the leader in one-week fantasy sports, is giving you a shot to be crowned the first-ever fantasy football billionaire. Draft the perfect lineup week 1, and you could win $1 billion. Just use code HUDDLE to play in DraftKings' free Week 1 contest with $100,000 in total guaranteed prizes. And if you draft the perfect lineup, you can win $1 billion. It's free. Why wouldn't you try? DraftKings.com. Code HUDDLE. Eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com for details.
Don Lebatard.
Texter writes in, Stugotz looks homeless today. If I saw him walking down Ocean Drive, I would give him $5.
Stugotz.
Thank you.
This is the Don Lebatard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. Guests on the Dan Lebatard Show appear via the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. Here's your SportsCenter update. Nationals beat the Marlins 8-3. Cubs beat the Pirates 4-1. And finally, Vin Diesel's working on a Miami Vice reboot. That's what I'm talking about, man.
Wow, you drive a hard bargain. That is COB. You closed that deal.
Yeah. The next generation Home Depot is safe. All right, guys? It is safe. I am not pulling. This is the way I'd like them to be all the time. That was easy. Couple of scores, little story at the end, and we're good. We move on.
Congratulations on winning the negotiation.
Experience why for nearly a century men have trusted Barbasol for a close, comfortable shave. Whether it's extra moisturizing with vitamin E or soothing aloe, all you have to do is sit back and bask in the glory of your close shave. You're looking good, America. You're shaving with Barbasol. For all the latest headlines and information, tune in to the SportsCenter on ESPN Radio all throughout the day.
Guillermo, can you please put on the poll, should we be mad at Jim Harbaugh? Should we as the show be mad at Jim Harbaugh? I know that Allison was mad at him last night. I know Stugotz was mad at him last night. Yep. Jim Harbaugh, for a while there, was our music critic. And for when I say a while, it was just a couple of times he came on the show and we reviewed music with him. And then one time he brought his father on the show with him and he wanted to talk to my father. And now, next thing you know, we can't get a hold of Jim Harbaugh. Jim Harbaugh doesn't want to be on the show anymore, doesn't want to review music anymore. And now he's starting a podcast with his father.
Right. I mean, doing something with your dad, that's never been done before.
But I'm rarely mad when you guys are mad about this stuff. You guys get mad when people steal our stuff. I'm rarely mad. Am I missing something here? Should I be mad at Jim Harbaugh for keeping his father to himself and starting his own project with his father instead of trying to help us for no good reason other than we asked him to?
The Stugotz would be strong in you.
I mean, I don't feel like I can be mad at him.
No, we could be mad at him. I mean, I could find a way to be mad at anyone. Seriously. And you should be mad at him. Well, because he's taking the idea that we really wanted to create on this show with him, and now he's bringing it to his own platform, to a podcast.
I was more bothered by whoever the Teddy Bridgewater sycophant was that created a children's book. I was more bothered by that because that was our idea. And we would have done a good children's book if we ever finished anything around here. Allison, where do we stand with Jim Harbaugh? Mike, how long are these sueys? How long is this?
About 7.5 minutes, so you can fit it in if you go through it in the next minute or so.
What are you going to do when Jim wants to come on the show and promote the new podcast? You're going to say yes or no? Because I'm telling you right now, it's a no for me. And if you say yes, I'm not coming in that day. I'm done with Jim Harbaugh.
Just to clarify, he's not doing a podcast with his dad. His dad will be featured on the podcast, but he has a podcast.
Yes. Well, we were doing a segment with him, and his dad was featured occasionally on the segment, and Jim didn't like it because Dan botched it.
His dad will be a part of it. Friends and family apparently got a gig for one of his friends in there, JT Rogan, former San Diego player.
All right, well, hold on a second, because Stugotz now just reminded me, we're going to delay the Suey victory announcement for 10 minutes here until the next segment, because Stugotz just reminded me of something here. He reminded me of that Michael Kay outburst where he just drew a line in the sand.
Yes.
The La Greca line in the sand.
Don La Greca, right. ESPN Radio in New York.
Yeah, all right, so now you got to play that sound because Stugotz said him or me. Stugotz just did a him or me on Jim Harbaugh to me. If you guys want me here that day, you can't have Jim Harbaugh. So this is from, what's the radio station credit?
Courtesy ESPN New York.
All right, this is ESPN New York.
Steve, get your priorities in order, brother.
if he had a decent, kind heart, he would.
Brother, come on, you take a look at the news. Watch the news for 5 minutes, Steve, and then tell me that your life is awful. You're a clown, Steve. I'm tired of the clown show. Tired of it. You've got a playoff team. You got a team that's won 3 in a row, and you're miserable because you love being miserable because that's what you're about. You're a clown, Steve. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of you wasting our time on the air with your clown shoe garbage. Tired of it. Michael might want to entertain it. I'm tired with it. Lose the number, Steve. Tired of it. I'm a Met fan who has to watch a team that was supposed to go to the World Series be 12 games under 500, and you've got a playoff team that's beaten my team 3 in a row, and you're complaining about a guy being pinched hit for or not being pinched for in the 9th inning? Get a life. Watch CNN. You could be, God forbid, a person of Barcelona today. You're miserable because of Aaron Judge not being pinched hit for? You're a clown. Get a life, Steve. Don't bother my life. Lose the number. You're banned. You're not allowed to call anymore. I'm done with him. Done with him. I'm going away. You want to put him on the air? You want to be a clown? Be my guest. Steve is banned. Life is too short, too important to waste time on this filthy human piece of garbage. If Steve's on, I'm leaving. If I ever see him on hold, I'm walking off. Steve, you're done. Lose the number. Clown. Tired of it.
Gosh.
Amazing rant.
I don't feel like I've ever been that angry about anything in my life.
The best part is a couple of days later, Girardi did what the caller suggested, and it worked.
Guillermo, can you put it on the poll, please? Have you ever been that mad about anything? I'm just flabbergasted by that. Can you guys find me the Louis Riddick quote? I just saw Louis Riddick here on television. He is on SportsCenter, and he put on Twitter something yesterday that a lot of people sent me because they felt like it should have been directed at me if it wasn't directed at me, and it was about analyzing quarterbacks by wins and losses. And so Louis Riddick sent out a tweet that to do that is to be dumb. If you are doing your quarterback analysis by wins and losses, go ahead and read that for us, Stugotz, please.
Knowing that attaching team win-loss records to an individual/quarterback is fundamentally flawed, inappropriate, yet continuing to do it is just dumb.
Okay, and so a lot of people thought that was directed at me because of my Matthew Stafford conversation yesterday, and I'm just curious because I'm not usually the guy who measures quarterback by wins and losses. But I thought the numbers on Stafford were so damning when you look at his record, 5-46 against teams that ended with a winning record, 1-25 on the road. I thought those numbers were so egregious that some of that's got to stick to the highest paid player in the league. I even understanding that a lot goes into winning,
right?
And even understanding that you need good teammates and those teams he's been on are flawed.
Well, I think your larger point also was, and it's a fair one, when teams win, it's when the Patriots win, it's Tom Brady. It's Tom Brady. We're not talking about the guard. We're talking about Tom Brady. So when it's the other way around, when teams aren't as good as they should be, why isn't it the quarterback? Why is it never Matthew Stafford's fault in Detroit?
And I don't think he's the problem, but I don't think he's the solution either. But what I would ask you is, where do the numbers have to be in terms of egregious for wins and losses not to be dumb analysis? Do you know a lot of great quarterbacks other than Archie Manning that you say that guy's great and his team's always lost anyway? I mean, Phillip Rivers, I think Phillip Rivers is great. Right. And Phillip Rivers, a lot of people do not think Phillip Rivers is great.
I know bad quarterbacks with good records. Vince Young had, a 6-year career? He went 31-19.
But this is what I would say to you. I guess this is the question I'm asking based on what Louis Riddick is saying. Don't give me bad quarterbacks with good records. Those I can give you a lot of. Give me good quarterbacks with bad records. How much of that can you do?
Right.
Because that's where I'm saying it's not quite as simple as just eliminate wins and losses.
But don't you think, all great quarterbacks went through some stretches? Were the Dolphin teams with Marino always good?
Yes, they were always relevant. Always good, always relevant.
Really? Okay,
yes,
there was never 6-10 in there?
No, always betrayed by his defenses and 15 straight winning seasons. Always good, always relevant. The same way the Packers are going to always be good, always relevant while Aaron Rodgers is there, even though their skill talent isn't very good.
I feel like there were a couple of clunkers in there with Brett Favre, though. I do feel like there were a couple of...
No. Yes, of course, Drew Brees has the occasional bad season, right. But what I'm asking you, or record-wise, what I'm asking you is, not occasional bad season. Name the best quarterback with a bad record in the history of the league. Because my guess is that bad record sticks to you in a way that makes you not be able to be a good quarterback based on our measurements.
I think a lot of people would say Archie Manning. Some people on the text here are saying Dan Fouts, who was a great quarterback. But I remember those teams being pretty good, actually. No defense, but pretty good.
I think I have an answer. I just want to confirm it before I run to it, but now I'm in too deep. Warren Moon. There were a couple of disappointing years. Yes, they had some good teams, but they had some bad years.
You understand what my larger point is. I'm with Louis Riddick on the idea of it is foolhardy to be absolute about wins and losses on how you measure quarterbacks. But wins and losses do kind of matter in the way that I'm saying is there are no good quarterbacks who have bad records. It doesn't exist.
For his career, Warren Moon is one game over 500.
What is Stafford? Because are you guys telling me that Stafford is Warren Moon? Is that all of you pro Stafford zealots who yelled at me yesterday because I was talking about the idea of that's not the guy you give that kind of percentage of your salary?
He is 51-58. But the first 2 seasons of his career, he was with a team that was winless to get that number 1 pick, and he went with 2 wins and then 1 win. He had some injuries, and since then he's leveled off a little bit and had some good years. They were really bad before they got Matthew Stafford.
It's 2 out of the last 3 years in the playoffs, 3 out of the last 6 years in the playoffs. That's what it is for the Lions.
That was kind of unheard of for them for a long time before he came along.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's how we're doing it. We're doing the Conor McGregor, graded him on a curve. Hey, he won 3 rounds. That's a victory for Conor McGregor.
I told you, if I'm a Detroit Lions fan, I look at that contract and I say, good, I'm not going back. I'm not going back to 0-16. I'm not going back to what our lives were pre-Stafford.
Mike, but go look at, Detroit's year last year was a statistical aberration fluke. Like, that team was not very good last year and had a good record, at least in part because Matthew Stafford was winning games, close games, late. But you believe that's an ability? Because I don't.
I don't think that team had any business going 9-7. And how do I explain that? Am I going to give Jim
Caldwell
the credit?
But what you're saying is
he looks like he just witnessed some murder in front of him.
Yeah, but you think Detroit is going to be good this year?
I think
they can be good this year.
Given off their recent history, they're probably going to be 7-9 next year because they sort of alternate.
Last year was a statistical fluke aberration year in terms of how much winning they did in random contests at the end.
Splash!
You really don't like this guy,
You
Stafford,
really don't.
man. I am such a big Lions fan this year.
I know it's an aberration, but that's sort of what Matthew Stafford does for his career. Late in game heroics.
Okay, but give me all the guys 51-58 or prorated 51-58 that you consider to be good quarterbacks. Go ahead and I'll wait. I'll wait for the rest of the time. Seriously, people, consider taking up this deal that Metro PCS is offering right now.
Unfair. I can't find that before the end of the spot.
I don't know.
No, I said the end
of time. What's McNair's record?
No.
What's McNair's record?
Whoa. You guys heard me wrong. I wasn't saying the end of time in this ad. I'm saying the end of eternity. I'm saying I will give you till the end of time.
Yeah, but it's convenient because then when I find the answer, it doesn't make any sense. You try to hit that on the live read. That's you trying to win an argument unfairly.
I bet you Eli Manning's record is.
I bet you're right.
And he's got 2 rings. How about
that?
Wait
a minute. You think Eli? Well, first of all, but wait a minute. Eli, good comeback.
Just give me 10 seconds.
I lose.
108 and 91. Not quite. But that's not good enough. We can all agree. We can all agree that should be better.
What are you talking?
We can all agree his record should be better.
Oh, now we talked too long this segment. We're not going to be able to announce the Suey's next segment either. We're going to have to wait till 12:30.
Give me some Steve McNair.
Steve McNair had what?
He had a lot of good teams.
What?
I consider him to be a good quarterback. I'm just wondering what his career record was.
He had good records too.
We'll find out in a second. Here's an unforgettable wireless deal and the best in recent memory. This is amazing. It really is. Get 2 free awesome smartphones with 32 gigs of memory.
You want a quarterback with a Hall of Fame quarterback who was 1 game under 500? Who?
Joe Namath.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he doesn't belong.
He doesn't belong.
He's so bad.
But it helps my argument.
He's thrown more interceptions. Look at Joe Namath's interceptions to touchdowns.
No, I don't want to.
No, you must.
No.
You must.
No.
I will hold your face to the uncomfortable truth. Yes, Joe Namath analysis right now.
McNair was 91 and 62.
Told you it was a bad idea.
Yeah, well,
220 interceptions, 173 touchdowns. But the game was so different back then.
Most overrated athlete in the history of sports. Get two, because he sat there in a fur coat by a pool and predicted they would win. And that's why he's in the Hall of Fame. He's not very good.
I kind of feel like Moon was good.
Anyway.
He's
a good
Conor
example.
McGregor. Joe Namath is Conor McGregor.
How about Esiason? Was he any good?
Will you knock it off? End it.
Check that record, Mike. Get 2 free awesome smartphones with 32 gigs of memory. Yep, free when you switch to Metro PCS.
Great? Do we think of Esiason as great?
Oh, Booms? I love Booms.
He was 80 and 93.
80-93.
But
I had the great quarterback.
Did he go to a Super Bowl? He went to a Super Bowl.
Wait a second.
He went to a Super Bowl.
Time out. I'm going to defend.
Hold on. He went to a Super Bowl, Dan.
Dan, he was an MVP of the league for a year. Boomer Esiason was a very good quarterback, and his teams weren't very good. And a good quarterback with a bad record.
Yeah, you lost on Boomer Esiason.
Yeah. Gotcha.
Take that fat L.
Yep.
Jeff Garcia, 58 and 58.
Oh, wow. Jeff Garcia. There we go. Wait till the end of time. Yeah, wait 3 minutes.
Jeff Garcia and Boomer Esiason are now the standard for highest paid player in the league?
Come on. You can't do that to Boomer. Boomer was a good
MVP
quarterback.
quarterback.
All right.
MVP quarterback.
I got to look at Boomer's numbers here. I'm remembering a different Boomer than you guys are remembering.
I'll give you his numbers right now. 247 touchdowns, 184 interceptions. That's so much better than Joe Namath.
Starting to jog your memory. Blonde hair. Yeah.
Dan Le Batard.
You want to make something smart really dumb? I give you Stugotz.
Stugotz.
You love sandwiches, huh?
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
You guys did some creative bookkeeping on the Boomer Esiason career.
What do you mean?
Holding the Jets years and the Arizona year against him, where he did some losing.
Dude was good enough to hang around and get starting jobs.
I'm saying
Man, losing with the Jets is not Boomer's fault. Anyone loses with the
but
Jets.
what I'm saying to you is that Boomer Esiason's career record with the Bengals was over 500. You guys are holding all the losses, making Boomer Esiason a lesser quarterback than he was based on record because you're holding the Arizona and the 3 Jets years against him.
Some would argue you're doing the exact same thing to Matthew Stafford, who had to climb a team out of an 0-16 hole.
No, that's fair. What you're saying is totally fair on Matthew Stafford. He did inherit a mess. I'm just surprised by the number of people out there defending the greatness of Matthew Stafford to me yesterday in a way that's a little bit confusing for a guy who has never won a playoff game.
I understand that, but the organization has been an absolute train wreck, and he's come in, and they've gotten to the playoffs 2 out of the last 3 years, 3 out of the last 6 years. Dan, there are not many good quarterbacks in the NFL. You could at least say that he's good. The Lions have a good quarterback. They have a quarterback that Jet fans would love to have, that most teams would love to have.
I would say that Matthew Stafford is an above-average quarterback, but that's damning him with faint praise. I mean, right now, the average quarterback in the league is kind of Kirk Cousins. Will complete 65% of your passes, 70% of your close to 70% of your passes, and you're going to do it on a lot of short routes.
Right, and he's going to make $30 million a year next year.
But you're never going to win anything, and you're never going to beat a winning team. You're like Washington didn't beat anybody with a winning record last year, correct?
I'm not sure. I'll check it out.
He did whatever winning he did. It wasn't against anybody good.
I don't doubt your point, certainly on Kirk Cousins. I think Matthew Stafford's better than Kirk Cousins, but that's not really the debate. Here's what the debate is. I want what the Lions have.
Yeah.
I want not
as a Browns fan.
As a Browns fan.
We're bad people to ask, though, me and you.
But most people will. And I'll want something different if I get that year in and year out. Matthew Stafford, he's probably one playoff loss away from it getting hot around him, and you can understand that because it then becomes more of a regular thing. But right now, as a Browns fan, 20 years I've been waiting for someone nearly as good as Matthew Stafford.
Well, you just hit on it. That's the thing, Dan. There's not many good quarterbacks. So most people are fans of a team that don't have a good quarterback. And all of those fans would take Matthew Stafford. Would love to have Matthew Stafford, with the exception of Green Bay, New England, and a couple of other places.
Here's the part that I'm confused by. This is the part that's confusing to me. For years, I spent so much time defending how great Tony Romo is. I think Tony Romo is a great quarterback. And what you guys did to me was you held up his record in the playoffs to me.
Good team.
And you kept yelling at me about it. And so what I'm wondering here is all of those people who come after me on the opinion that I think Tony Romo is a great quarterback, why are you holding up Matthew Stafford now?
Not saying he's great, just saying he's good.
Oh, well.
I'm not saying he's great. And,
okay.
I mean, listen, Matthew Stafford had Calvin Johnson, but Tony Romo had a ton of guys in his offensive huddle that were good. Ton of them.
He also had some bad teams, too. This is a difficult debate to be having because I agree with you. It's insane that Matthew Stafford is the highest paid player.
And I'm not disputing that he's good. I'm disputing that he's worth that. That's what I'm disputing. I'm not disputing that he's good. I just said he's above average.
Yeah, just for now, though.
Dan says if he were running the Lions, he'd let him walk. And we're saying...
Not let him walk. I'd go and trade to one of you pathetic losers, the Jets or the Browns. I'd go and try and trade him.
You'd run the risk of not having someone as good as Matthew Stafford. We're here as living proof that you can go several decades without having someone that good. It's probably not something you're willing to risk if you're in the winning football business.
I don't know what the Packers' record was at the time, but the Redskins did beat them last year 42-24. That's a good team.
And beat the Giants.
Yeah.
All right, we will come back. We will come back with the Sueys here. The Sueys, the winners. That's next.
Don Le Batard.
I'd like to be a dog, man. It seems like such a great lifestyle. You sleep all day. You wait for everyone to come home. They rub your belly. They take you for a walk, and they just throw treats at you.
Stugotz.
I mean, I feel like you're kind of this show's pet, though, aren't you? Kind of. I mean, look at you today.
Who's good?
I mean, who's good? We groomed Stugotz. Who's good? Who's good?
Who's good? This is the Don Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. Guest on the Dan Le Batard Show appear via the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. Here's your SportsCenter update. The Westgate Superbook in Las Vegas has offered 1 to 1,000 odds on the Golden State Warriors to make the playoffs. That means a bettor would have to put down $100,000 to win $100. The opposite bet of the Warriors missing the playoffs would earn $10,100 if a bettor were to put down $100. Meanwhile, for the over-unders for NBA win totals this upcoming season, the 76ers, who were at 27.5 wins last season, have leaped to 42.5 wins and a 15-win increase. The T-Wolves over-under for their win total this season is at 48.5. They won 31 games a season ago. And finally, researchers at a Toronto university claim that being very forgetful means that you are actually a genius. Congratulations to me. Study co-author Blake Richards indicated that it is important that the brain forgets irrelevant details and instead focuses on the stuff that's going to help make decisions in the real world. I can't read, man. I just can't read. But I'm a genius, and that's all that matters. So, doesn't matter. Can't read. Genius.
That's right.
I mean, I'm making decisions and remembering them and things that will help affect the real world, but I can't read.
Okay.
And this thing wasn't as short as I expected.
Texter writes in, why haven't you guys asked Dan who he would get to replace Stafford after trading him? Give us a name. Easy to say trade him without coming up with a solution to replace him. I mean, there's Kaepernick is available.
Whoa.
Great, we're doing this segment.
Also, if you don't want to go with Kaepernick, Dak Prescott, we didn't really know that he was a good pro a year ago. And then next thing you know, you look up and, hey, Tony Romo, get the hell out of here. Not just the huddle, the sport. Get out. Go broadcast. So, yeah, you can find somebody. Here were the winners from all of the great stuff that we did that was terrible last year. Here are all the winners.
And now, your Suey Award winners. Best prediction made on the show.
I am telling you, the Jacksonville Jaguars, okay? And I've been saying this for about a year now.
Thank you.
The Jacksonville Jaguars not only will win that division, not only are they going to make the playoffs, they are a team that's going to, at minimum, the AFC Championship game, and they might go to the Super Bowl.
Yes!
Best story. Mike Golick Jr., Hank Azaria story.
No!
Can't talk about half enough. That place. It's amazing.
Yeah. I mean, it's the nicest thing up there, right?
Oh, by far. Saw Hank Azaria in there the other day. I said, have you seen the calf? He hadn't seen the calf yet.
It's a good story, man.
Epic sound of the year.
If you're one of the people out there that is planning a parade for 0-16, I will fight you. Come down and see me right now. I am at Buffalo Wild Wings.
Best fake.
Limited fake Tim Kirkchen. What do the Royals have to do to make the playoffs?
Dan,
The Royals are really good.
Best laugh, Mina Kimes. Useless sound of the year.
Splash. They made the splash plays. We didn't make enough of them.
Best Stephen A. Smith moment.
Good afternoon. This is Stephen A. Right here in the Stephen A. Smith Show, ESPN Radio. To hell with the music right now. I am having a very bad day. I'm having a very bad day. I'll be honest with you, I'm pretty damn ticked off. I mean, I cannot believe the kind of nonsense that I am hearing right now. And I don't know how much of this I'm going to take today. I'll be the first to admit it. I am warning y'all ahead of time. Do not call me today and get on my damn nerves. I'm trying to tell you something right now. ESPN's not going to stop me, damn it. FCC Airways might not stop me. I'm that ticked off. I mean, I'm sitting up here and it's bad enough. I wake up this morning and I grab my oatmeal, throw some almond milk in there, some cinnamon and some little bit of brown sugar and some blueberries. And I go on First Take. And while I'm on First Take, I receive the news that the New York Knicks are open to trading Kristaps Porzingis. You have got to be kidding me. There's a lot of stuff going on, and it's all good in respective cities, it seems, except New York. I mean, my God. I just can't take this. I just can't take it. I can't take it. This is unbelievable.
Best Stugotz mispronunciation. Sample size.
Sample Sarge.
Best revelation. Greg Cody. It's pork butt all the time.
The cut of meat, when I make pulled pork, slow cook a pork roast to make pulled pork, the cut of meat I use is called the Boston butt. So it's a delicacy. I eat butt all the time.
Best is measles.
LaMarcus Aldridge.
Awful.
I mean.
No, he's an embarrassment, man. I'm telling you, Greg Popovich is going to get rid of that guy in the offseason. He was an embarrassment last night. He is so out of shape. There are so many times where the Rockets were playing 5-on-4 on offense because LaMarcus Aldridge was walking back on defense. He's bad. He's not a good player. I don't know what happened to him because when he was in Portland, he was fantastic. He is not good, Dan. He cost them the game last night. Although they won the game. But had they lost, I'm telling you, it would have been on LaMarcus Aldridge. And the only reason it's not is because they won the game. Otherwise, San Antonio would be crushing him today. And I'm still going to crush him even though they won.
Uncomfortable moment. The entire Christopher Guest interview.
Do you view that as the work that is your favorite, or is it the one that most people cite as their favorite, if you're not willing to answer that question?
Oh, I mean, I've worked for a long time, and people like different things, and that's fine. People say they like Best in Show or they like Waiting for Guffman, and that's fine. Whatever. I can't control that, so that's cool.
How about you, though? Which one do you feel?
Oh, I couldn't say. That's a weird choice. That's a strange choice. I don't know. I wouldn't even know what to say. Clearly.
Okay. Christopher, I know what to say. How about we end this? Okay, good? We're good? We should probably end this, right? Because it doesn't seem like he wants to do it. No. So.
Which? Keep going.
I mean, are you sure? You want to do this or not?
Well, which are we doing?
This interview.
Oh, I love the interview.
Okay.
I mean, I can make stuff up, but I don't know what to say to a question that is about which of my things I like. I could make it up, but it's hard to pick. I've done a few things, and it's hard to pick one that I like the best. I'd like to go back to the Dylan thing. I think I personally would have been offended.
Christopher, thank you for your time. Thank you for your time. We appreciate it. Thank you. Let's wrap this up. All right. Good talking to you.
Worst mistake made by Dan. Dan asked Deion Sanders about the sex addiction he doesn't have.
I think we've talked to you before briefly. I don't know how. At one point, you had gone public saying you had a sex addiction, right?
No.
Okay.
No, that wasn't me. That was another guy. Ain't no sex addiction. I love sex just as much as you love sex. Ain't no addiction. You like I'm a sexaholic or something? You try to get a confession out of me.
I feel like I've talked to you about that before.
No, that wasn't me. That was the other Sanders. That wasn't me. That wasn't me.
I don't know. I'm going to have to look this up. Again,
no, who told you that? Deion Warwick told you that? Deion Sanders ain't tell you that.
Deion is with
no
us.
Sex addiction.
I think of other Sanders.
Hey, let's dispel that rumor right now. That's a vicious rumor, and it's a lie. I like sex just as much as the next man or woman.
Best musical performance. Tim Kirsch and Rich Pitbull lyrics.
Nice.
Esa jefita esta enteria tien tremendo. Culo. Esta tan linda. Esta tan rica. Tien tremendo. Culo.
Excellent.
Shimmy, shimmy, ya. Shimmy, yam, shimmy, ya. I'm a dirty old dog all day. No way, Jose. Your girl only go one way. Ah, ye madre.
Excellent.
Yeah.
2 + 2, I'm gonna oh my God. 2 + 2, I'm gonna undress you. 3 and 3, you're gonna undress me. 4 and 4, we're gonna freak some more. Honey got me swishing like a dreadlock. She don't wrestle, but I got her in a headlock. Yabba dabba doo, make her bedrock.
Yeah!
Oh, man.
There are a couple winners in there that are deeply offensive to me, but the rest were good.
Which one? Say, go
Look
on.
at me now. I'm getting paper.
I mean,
because Gojo,
that needs to go to hell.
Oh, he's never been. He's never been happier.
Say hello to Art Briles on your way there.
He's so happy though. He won his first ever Suey.
His happiness is not deserved. That's the listeners being saboteurs. The listeners are being anarchists there.
He asked Hank Azaria if he'd seen the calf. He hadn't seen the calf.
You were off that day. He built it up like it was such a great story. He did, and the floor was his, and that's all he gave us was that.
Dan Le Batard.
Good work today. That was a fun show.
Stugotz.
It was also intergalactically stupid.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
If you'd like to help the victims of Hurricane Harvey, please go to www.redcross.org.
Do you have the polls ready today? Or are the polls again a surprise today to you that we end the show every day and have for several years, ending with the poll?
I had them ready today, man. I am good to go. The Twitter poll is brought to you by Upside. Now say big on travel and get a big gift card every trip you buy. You'll love Upside.com. That's Upside.com. At Le Batard Show on Twitter. Do you leave voicemails? 63% of the audience said no.
My God, changing technology is funny. I'm telling you, I'm not lying about this. My grandfather and his sister and his twin brother, all of them went to their grave thinking that I would hang up on them every time they called because they couldn't get their heads coming from Cuba out around the idea of an answering machine. So we would explain it to them. That's my voice on the answering machine. I'm not just talking in English. That's my voice. And then you leave a message there. They went to their graves thinking I was hanging up on them at their end of their lives every time that they called. That I would just talk at them, say the same thing, and then hang up.
What a horrible thing to bring to your grave. I mean, seriously.
Yeah.
It's terrible,
yeah.
man. Do you use your phone as a phone? 66% of the audience said yes.
That's a lot of people who don't.
It is, surprisingly. Let me scroll up here. Mina Kimes, Aaron Rodgers piece, ESPN the magazine, fat face, fat white face, fat white face. If you give Conor McGregor the best horse and months to train, would you want to see him race against other jockeys?
I mean, you guys want to turn him into. I heard you guys discussing during one of the breaks him and all whites playing Federer at Wimbledon.
Yeah, we were discussing him versus Federer. This is what Conor McGregor should do. For the rest of his career is just fight just play other great athletes in their sports and sell it for $99.99 on pay-per-view because we'd all buy it. But we had him at Wimbledon in all white because he looked great in all white. And every game starts out with Roger Federer down, love 40. Federer still wins that, right?
Well, no. What happens is over the course of the entire match, McGregor would win 2 points, and you guys would celebrate him.
Yeah.
You guys would say, wow, did better than I thought he would.
Yeah. Remember that first game, second set? It was 30 all. That's a win.
It's amazing. Twice Federer hit it into the net. You guys would not watch that. Anyway, keep it moving.
How many birthday cakes does J-Lo need? 49% of the audience said all of the cakes.
All of the cakes. Okay. All of them.
Is J-Lo a diva? 84% of the audience said yes.
Remind me to get into this tomorrow. What's the list of divas? What's the list of approved and certified divas?
Beyonce. Well, we'll get into it tomorrow.
Yeah,
Don't want to get ahead of
but
ourselves.
I didn't know that. So J-Lo gets to still be
Katy
a diva?
Perry, Taylor Swift now are divas.
Is Celine Dion still? Barbara Streisand?
Those are divas in the classic sense. Now diva just means really popular lady singer.
Was Madonna a diva? And
yes.
So she still is.
Oh, yeah.
Britney Spears?
Well, wait a minute. When did the definition
Britney
of
Spears.
diva
No,
change?
Britney Spears is different.
No?
Now you have to have a lot of power.
When did the definition of never mind. Keep it moving.
All right.
Christina Aguilera, diva. Britney Spears, not. It's different, man.
All right.
$2.
Are we laughing at Stugotz or with him?
Whoa!
That's $2 fun.
I thought that was
Deal with
helpful.
it. I mean, I've had mine today. You take yours. Go ahead,
He
$2.
asked a question.
Yes.
I answered said question.
Without the voice of Mel Kiper that you have somewhere inside there.
Keep it moving.
Are we laughing at Stugotz or with him? This is obvious. I mean, scroll right past it. 74% of the audience said we're laughing at him. Thanks. I mean, it's a horrible thing to take to my grave. Should we be mad at Jim Harbaugh?
That grave is going to be made out of jewels because of the trades you've made in your life. Like court jester. Like it'll be a good. It'll
Very
be a
nice
big funeral. Good funeral. Keep it moving.
Should we be mad at Jim Harbaugh? 55% of the audience said no. Have you ever been that mad about anything? 54% of the audience said no.
Don LaGreca mad?
Yes.
That should be the new level of mad. There should be rages of mad. Like, what would be the spectrum? You got Stephen A. Smith. Like, what are the...
Lou Pinella, then Don LaGreca.
Yeah. But he's the top, right? Like, that's the angriest you can get is Don LaGreca.
No. Lou Pinella is... Lou Pinella is the
Don
angriest
LaGreca,
that
then
you can
Lou
get.
Pinella.
Lou Pinella is the pot at the end of the furious, rage-filled rainbow. How did we end the show that way?
Sweet Lou.
Daddy, where do babies come from?
Honey?
Mommy went to the store.
Oh, well, you see, there's a mommy and a daddy, right?
Right.
And see, when they call Geico, they could save a bunch of money on car insurance.
Oh, really? And that makes them happy?
Yes, that makes them very happy.
That's good.
Yeah, well...